This is Instructor Bravo with Bravo Tactical Inc. We're here in Noblesville today at a coffee house with Instructor Rose from Rose and Rifles.
That's right.
Rifles and Rose.
Roses and rifles.
Roses and Rifles. Yeah.
We couldn't use gun and roses.
No,
so.
no Guns and Roses there. So today we're just here to talk to you a little bit about the new Certified Intermediate Instructor course that's coming out by Bravo Tactical this year. And we brought Rose in today to talk about it because Rose is kind of the typical instructor right now that this class is going to be marketed to. Which is we're really excited about the course at Bravo Tactical. I know that for sure, because it really helps begin the next level of instruction and capability for most instructors out there. So let's just we'll just start a little bit about like how this course came about to be. So really, with my background in law enforcement and as a security contractor, most of our instructor-led training courses that we went to were from the LE market, right? So, and in the LE community, what they don't do is teach canned courses. Unlike our concealed carry and home defense fundamentals course, or DSF level 1, level 2, or personal protection outside the home. Those are what I kind of dub as canned courses. It's like a can of Chef Boyardee. You open it up, you heat and you serve to your students. You get the PowerPoint, you get the course of instruction. They tell you the range drills, and sometimes even more defined is the types of skill sets and how they want you to teach the skill sets.
Right.
So in the law enforcement community, the instructor goes to a school to learn how to teach, but also really to do curriculum development. There's not so much where you got to do this specific skill. There's no course curriculum. There's no here's the student textbook. Here's the PowerPoint that's being utilized. There's really none of that. And to me, that has always been the gap that's missing in our CCW community, is instructors that have the capability to write their own content based on what they're wanting to teach and their market.
Right.
So one of the things that we see that's going on out there is, while we love what's going on with the canned courses, it's not a term that's used derogatory. What it is, it's a term, just a descriptive term of it's very simple, it's very cookie cutter, it's duplicatable, and for in organizations like those that are coming out with those, it's critical to standardize the same kind of teaching message across the board. But in order for, in my opinion, and in most instructors, is the next level is to be able to write and implement and teach your own curriculum. And that really allows us a lot of flexibility in the program that we're doing, the market that we're trying to teach. Per se, you've got a group of individuals that wants to take a class from you, and they already know certain skill sets.
Right.
Well, you can validate it on the range real quick in your own custom program. Make sure that even though they told you that, yeah, we know how to do this, we know how to do that, you're refining that a little bit and then moving on to the next thing, right? And sometimes even too, our range restrictions can limit our ability, even simply as into the time that we can get the range for.
Right.
Maybe it's a 2-hour block, maybe it's a 4-hour block. Whatever that is, we can write curriculum specific for our needs that we're teaching students, and for the students' needs as well.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we did was with this particular course, and really in a sense with all Bravo Tactical's instructor certification curriculum, is we utilize that same LE approach that's done in the community. So we talk about curriculum development. We talk about a lot of the various, we discuss and implement various aspects on the range or in courses like I said, curriculum development, course design, how to design a course, how to literally formulate on paper how you're going to teach a specific skill set. And this is really critical, I think. It's kind of that next level of engagement for the instructor to then come out of that canned philosophy. Oh, I got this canned course I got to teach. Well, you can get really good at that.
Right.
But then to be able to say, this is what I want to do. These are the skill sets that I want to teach. And I think another thing that we're seeing too, like in this course we don't do, is we don't say you've got to do a technique, this way or that way,
Right.
or a speed reload must be done from the high compressed ready. And I'm not saying that's not a valid technique. I'm just saying sometimes that might not be our background, right? We might have done it a little bit different.
Right.
So when you come and when you do this course, you get to utilize the skill sets you want to teach. And one of the things that we also saw that's really prevalent in the industry, with I consider like your tier 1 and tier 2 instructors in America, is they're not just teaching one skill set. They're not saying this is how you're going to do your speed reload. This is how you're going to do your double female function. What they're doing is they're teaching various ways to accomplish the same goal, allowing the students to experiment with those and then choose which one best works for their own biomechanics.
Right. Yeah, because there's a big difference between how you might do a speed reload compared to me, just based off of physical differences. I have small hands, so I might do it a little bit differently. So maybe if I want to teach a more women's focused class and we kind of go over those different ways, then that'd be really useful for
Absolutely.
to have those resources available to be able to fluctuate and teach the way I want to teach it.
And I think too, what's good about programs like this is you as the instructor, once you get the skill sets and capability to write your own curriculum, you understand the training methodologies and psychologies behind implementing a course and creating it as your skill sets change. Because you may go take a class with Pat McNamara, or you may go take a class with Travis Haley, and you may buy into some unique subtlety. I call them subtleties because, feeding the system and doing certain skill sets, they're all generally the same. There's just what I call subtle nuances, right? But you may pick up things as your experience grows, and then you can implement those right into your own program. Hard to do with a canned course. I think there's another benefit that really drives the need for this in the industry is as canned courses become more prevalent, over market penetration can occur. So, if you're running a specific canned course, whether it's a CCHDF class or whether it's even something beyond that, it's hard to differentiate yourself from your competitors in your area, right? But when you're writing your own content and you can understand where some of the things that are needed in your area, or some of the, let's call them crutches of a canned course, right? You can write your own, and then you'll be able to market that as you feel like the market needs to see it, and then that creates that differentiating factor, and creates more value for the student. About this course that makes it so unique from other instructor development courses is you will write your own curriculum. Most instructor development, quote unquote, development courses, and I've been to a lot of them, and they're great because you can go as what I consider myself as an advanced instructor. I can still go to those courses and I can pull pieces of information out, pieces that I can improve my content, improve my skill capability. But where they lack is when you come out, and I've interviewed a lot of instructors that have taken various courses across the United States that are instructor development courses. And I said, great, how did you think of that class? And they tell me what they thought was great about it. And I guess the first question I ask after that is, so what are you going to be doing different about your class right now? What are you implementing into your course? What are you targeting to utilize for a new course that you're going to launch? And that's where the conversation stops. Because the hard part is most instructors, what I call entry-level instructors, don't know how to translate that into curriculum. And isn't that what an instructor development course is supposed to be? It's supposed to be able to take you from conceptual ideas that you don't know and translate that into you launching a brand new course in your area to increase revenue and make a stronger and more positive impact on the community. Without that, I mean, it was a few tidbits of good information learned, but it doesn't translate into the bottom line. And I think as business owners, that's one of the most important factors that we need to consider when we're spending, good money, and especially our time. I call it our dime and our time. When you're spending your own dime and your own time to increase your capabilities, how does that translate into your offerings, your market?
Right.
how many courses you're writing. And so in this specific course, one of the things that we do is we do the classroom via live Zoom on day one. It's a 3-day long course.
Okay.
And it's a full day. Every day is a full day. There's a lot to pack in.
Sure.
Then we don't come to the range for 2 weeks minimum. Plus, that's when we meet for 2 days on the range after that. In that 2-week period is where you are actually writing the course you're going to launch. And a lot of collaboration between the instructor candidate students and myself will occur, and other instructors that work for Bravo Tactical as well, on how their curriculum looks. Is it meeting their training objectives?
Okay.
And then when you come to the 2-day course, you pretty much have your new course written.
Right.
Then what we do is you're going to do teachbacks, because every instructor course, every instructor development course, if you're not doing teachbacks, I'm sorry to say, it's not an instructor course.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of these, big names too. There's minimal to zero teachbacks. And this is not just a CCW industry issue. It's also in the law enforcement industry as well. I mean, when they talk about instructor development, you get there, and it ends up just being an end user shooter class. So when you come on the 2 days, you'll be actually doing teachbacks on different various physical skill sets that you're going to teach, right? And using the methodologies and techniques and tactics that you want to use in yours, and various range drills. Some of those may include ones that like the El Diablo or El Presidente or 22422 or whatever it is that you're going to be using. Maybe it's something you've taken. Maybe it's something you've taken and you've modified because you feel. And that's the greatest thing, I think, when you start getting to the next level, is when you're putting in your unique flavor to things. And that's really, I think, one of the things that makes this so good is not everything that you're going to do is cookie cutter, pre-done. You got to grab range drills that are, I call them range shooting sequences, because they're really not. To me, a range drill is when people are running from position to position and doing various skill sets, both basic and advanced at each position. That to me is more of a range drill rather than standing on a line and doing a sequence of shooting. You can still add skills in there, but I still consider those more like shooting sequences. But we still call them range drills in the industry, I understand that.
Yeah.
And ones that you've custom written yourself.
Right.
And then you get to implement those, and then what we do is all the other instructors will actually be on the line. You'll be running the line, you'll be teaching your skills, you'll be running them through your range drills, and then at the end, they'll critique you, peer-to-peer review, another critical component for an instructor course. And then ultimately, the instructor trainer, that's us, instructor trainer is the term we use in the LE community for training counselor. So the IT then will give you feedback as well. And that will give you feedback that you can make immediate changes to your program. Now, and then at the end of the 2 days, you gained a lot of experience. You've watched a lot of different people teach things a little bit different. You gain new ideas, and you refine that course, tweak it just a little bit with some of the great things you've learned, and now your course is done at the end of day 3.
And you should be ready to just go out, and you could have it booked probably before you go to this course. You should be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it like this: that you get home, you write your description for the course, you put it up on your website, you start your marketing, the way that you're doing your marketing, and you're done. Takes an instructor course and translates it straight to a new course that maybe you're not offering right now. I think that blows our mind.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because then you just don't have a limit then at that point. Because you can just keep changing and adapting as you go. You get a new idea. Well, now I've got this background from this instructor course.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
It's very dynamic, right?
Right.
Our content should always be evolving based on new information that we have, whether that's scientific information, whether that's trends in the industry that are becoming predominantly taught as quote unquote, maybe better techniques or more efficient techniques. But mostly it should be developing based on you,
Right.
the instructor,
Because you should be developing.
as you're getting better. Because if you're the same instructor 5 years from now as you are today,
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to say that's bad, but how much value is that bringing to your students? Maybe new students, maybe that's not relevant, but to existing students, that's really relevant
Right.
at that point.
Definitely.
Right?
Yep.
The other thing that we've done is we've worked in partnership. So I'm an instructor trainer with Human Factors Group,
Right.
otherwise primarily known as Human Factors Research Group, formerly known as PPCT Management Systems. And one of the things that we're putting in this course is a small segment that is critical, and they call it their training protocols. So it's a segment that we'll be teaching in the class, but it's literally a course within the course. It teaches the instructor instructional methods that enhance their capability to teach survival skills. And survival skills are what we're talking about. I mean, it's a term that they use to describe all things, because they don't just teach firearms. And this course is in there. So when we talk about enhancing the student's ability to learn survival techniques, there's a lot of things involved in there. And one of the things they cover in there is the 3 variables that affect survival and combat training.
Okay.
So what we're doing in there is we're learning how can we by curriculum development and by the way in which we teach exponentially increase the students' learning and capability and ultimately confidence. Because one thing that we know psychologically is increased levels of confidence translate to higher levels of performance on the battlefield. It's just what it is.
Right.
Confidence reduces the elevation of heart rate, which reduces the sympathetic nervous system, right, which you're all teaching in Pack 5 at CCHDF class right now. We talk about all those perceptual narrowing, auditory exclusion, tunnel vision, vasoconstriction, those types of things. So this will enhance your ability to teach students more effectively. Let's just say it like that.
Yeah, kind of gives you like a bigger picture and a why for your training.
Yeah, simple things like understanding soft wiring versus hard wiring.
Right.
And when you understand when you understand what's covered in this, you really begin to then think more about the curriculum you're writing, what you're teaching, how you're teaching it. And I think one of the neat things is, and we see this in the USCCA, when you become a certified instructor in the course, they say not to do teach backs or teach skill sets at more than 50% speed. You remember that in your instructor course? That was created by Bruce Siddle at Human Factors Research.
Okay.
Understanding the concept and the neural pathway development of soft wiring, and why it's critical to do it at no faster than 50% speed. And I think we see that translated too in the USCCA's curriculum, the DSF level 1 and level 2, where the techniques are taught at a slower pace. The verbiage has to match the technique that's being done so that they're in sync.
Right.
That's part of soft wiring.
Okay.
And we do deep dives in that. Some other things that we do deep dives that I thought was pretty critical for this, because was it last year? I think it was last year. Last year I was in a course, and it was a course from a tier 1 instructor that was being hosted by another USCCA instructor. And when he got there, he says, the instructor says to the hosted instructor, the USCCA instructor that hosted him, "Do you have any other targets?" And I knew what he was going with this, but he says, "No, is this okay? Is there a problem?" And being a good guy, he's like, "No, these will work. And he adapted to work with them. But really what it is at that moment, and this is not a very entry-level instructor that was hosting it, I thought that, wow, we need to do a segment, a deep dive in target development, design, training objectives and implementation. And so I reached out to companies like Action Targets, because obviously if you wanted a new target created, who do you go talk to? Right? I mean, they have all law enforcement agencies qualification targets. They create and print all the targets for many, I mean, endless amounts of targets. And so I talked with them a little bit about some of the key questions that they ask and how they look at design that's submitted to them and how do they critique it. Another one was I talked to Jason Westenberg, obviously one of my mentors at Malefia, a fantastic organization, about how their target was designed and why did they choose this, which was really interesting because last year they did a flip. They changed one side of it because during their training, especially in their CQB stuff, they realized that one was developing an automated, in a sense, kind of a negative automated response that they didn't want to have happen, right? So, and then of course the biggest is I reached out to Kyle Lamb and I talked to Kyle Lamb about his two-sided VTAC, Viking Tactics target as well, about, you know, why did he design it this way? How do you feel about other targets out there? Can you do too much to a target? Can a target be too busy? Right, and I think these are things that we needed to implement, because I also asked a lot of USCCA instructors and NRA instructors, you know, why they picked the target that they did, and most of them, it was based on one of two answers. They thought it was cool, or the price.
Okay.
And while I wouldn't say that the target is the end all, right? I mean, you can't say anything in an entire program makes or breaks a program. But by proper target selection, we can really enhance and increase performance in the student and the overall experience. Thus again, bringing what Jeffrey Gatomer talks about in his book, Differentiate or Die, the value. Right? When you know how to utilize a target. And it got me thinking on another thing too, and it's just a question to pose is, because we got so many tier 1 instructors that travel across the country teaching here. So I'm not saying that this is bad, it's just a question that I pose. My question is what does that say about an instructor who only uses one target? One target for all courses, from beginner to intermediate to advanced. Does that tell us anything? Can it give us clues as to the type of course that it is? And obviously that's why Kyle Lamb runs two-sided. That's why most organizations that travel, they run two-sided. So that they have the option to flip to work on specific skill sets. A lot of you guys might understand like command targets, right? How useful those are. What type of command targets do you want to use, right? Shoot and no shoot targets. Those are very critical as well.
Well, so I have a question. So speaking of targets and things, so me being more of that, you know, beginner kind of instructor wanting to work on teaching intermediate skills, what if I don't have those targets? Do I need to be preparing to bring those, or since we're talking about them, is there anything available for us?
Yeah, that's great. Class? So for this particular class, and this is what makes Bravo Tactical unique, right? Because I'm always looking for ways, how can we make Bravo Tactical differentiate from other organizations to bring back value? Our customer is the instructor. We travel with everything. So prior to the student in this course, in this intermediate, coming to that 2-day course, at the day 1, they're going to get a list of all the different targets that we travel with. We travel with a trailer full of equipment, 8-pack steel target systems, 20+ portable target stands, 15+ different types of paper targets, bullhorns, cones, pack timers, pretty much vertical walls, vertical barricades, horizontal barricades, VTAC walls, everything that we can conceptually think we need for you to run your drills. So that you don't have to think about and come with all that to place. That's just, and that's very expensive. That is very pricey to be traveling around you know, with $15,000 worth of gear
Yeah.
to each and every class. But we truly believe that for the best experience, learning experience for the instructor to come out with the maximum capability and readiness out of this program, we need to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have all that, because some instructors have never taught a course running on steel. And if you're
Right.
looking at using a specific drill that says, you know, that you want to use in your course, it says 2 paper, 1 steel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 2 paper, 1 steel.
Right.
Or all steel. How are you going to run that drill
Right.
if we're not there? Now, does it really, am I saying that if you take an instructor course and they only have all paper and the drill calls for all steel, that it's a horrible drill or bad experience? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it is, we want to bring the optimum and the best that we can.
Yeah.
I mean, why settle for less?
Right.
I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, I know because I teach end users. Sometimes I go teach classes in, you know, I went out to a course in that I taught in Pennsylvania last year. Sometimes I don't even get to see the range. You just, when you get there, you see what you've got, you know the equipment you have, and you modify your drills accordingly to the limitations. That, or no limitations, right? When sometimes you get there, you're like, wow, man, I got a 180 degree range.
Yeah.
This is great, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
But that capability does not come by constantly teaching CAN courses.
Right. I'm excited to see what comes out of that class for sure.
Yeah, me too. So
Some high level instructors.
Oh, it's, you know, and let me say this too. Not only does our support include the period between the Zoom to the 2-day in-person range course, but afterwards as well. So there's no reason that you should only have one class come out of this that you've created for your business.
Right.
You can have multiple. You can constantly reach out to us, send us your curriculum for review, and we'll give you feedback.
Right.
There's really a lot, and I think one of the other things too that I really like that I put in here in this course that really differentiates it, and still I think there's more development that can go, is understanding outcome-based versus performance-based. Because in the community we hear it talked about, and it's usually very, very surface level. It's just, but no one really does deep dives to understand how can you, in a intermediate line drill course, how can you have one student who has already, let's say you're teaching presentation, you're running presentation drills, and you can tell this person's advanced. And so how do you get them to still be engaged?
Right. Make sure they get value
using
too.
performance-based training methodology while still doing the same drill as everyone else. And it only takes a moment. And then these are things that we'll be talking about in the course.
Yeah.
And doing deep dives in, especially performance-based versus outcome-based. Because again, I mean, it's covered so much at the surface level in instructor development courses. And sometimes it's even spoken of so quickly that it's a joke. I mean, they'll joke about it after they get done. Blah, blah, this is performance-based, this is outcome-based, and at the end of the week, that'll be on the test. And everybody laughs because they know they're not going to remember it. Well, then why even cover it?
Right.
You know, instructors need to be coming away from this course with knowledge base that they can implement in every single bullet point of the course.
Awesome.
Yeah. So right now I know we've got Michigan booked, we've got Texas booked, Tennessee booked, and I'm trying to get Ohio online right now as we speak. We'll probably look for one in Illinois. I mean, anywhere we travel, anywhere in the country, we'll go. So if you're an instructor out there too, and you're interested in hosting the course, you can go to my website and you can contact me either by phone or email, and you can say, I'm interested in hosting this course. Now, with hosting the course, you get one free spot in the course, but there's a lot of work to it.
Sure.
You're going to have to work. If you ever hosted a course before, you know how much work that it is. So you'll be required to secure the range. You'll be required to help fill the class, so you'll have to contact other instructors in the area and help get people signed up to come in. And of course, you know, we do that as well. But we're really looking at this being a phenomenal year for launching this program as we work with instructors to help get them to the next level.
Awesome.
Great.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Everybody have a great day. Thanks a lot.